Welcome, everybody, to this week's OneDoor Studios update. Who's that in the bottom left-hand corner? It's Tay Centineo. Welcome back, Tay.
Thanks, guys. Hi.
Hey, Tay.
We had her on an update a few weeks ago, and at first she was like, "No, don't put me on camera." And afterwards, she was like, "This was fun. Let's do this again." So we got her back. And so Tay is our development director. And why do we have Tay on today? Because we have development news for you. So I would just want to just hand it over to Tay and tell our investors and fans what's going on in your world.
Yeah, so all good things. We are very excited. We have received the second draft of the calculated script from Anne.
Yes.
Process-wise, I mean, I think that everyone who's read the books can probably imagine that the structure is the hardest part of this. It's the most challenging. Cracking that, it's the hardest to give notes on. Its timeline as a book is very nonlinear, and it's obviously a very thrilling way to tell that story. So ultimately, we decided that we wanted the film to reflect that as much as possible, and which is not easy. And Anne was, and always is very up to the challenge. She pulled it off. We are very, very happy as a team with how this all panned out. She has been working very hard these last few months, more than a few months actually. And I think, what makes this an exciting adaptation, it makes it equally difficult. And a very common misconception about adapting is that, it's the easy part, that you take what's in the book and you copy and paste it into final draft in a script format and you call it a day. And it goes so much deeper than that, right? Like Calculated is a 400-page novel, and it's told from Jo's perspective, which means that a lot of the information that you're getting is her internal monologue. It's her internal narration. A lot of the emotions that are, so it's how do you express that information out loud in a way that feels organic to a movie? How do you do it in a way that doesn't feel expositional or like an information dump? How do you make sure that the 400-page novel is not, a 6.5-hour movie? It involves deciding, and this is oftentimes the hardest, especially when you love a book so much. What do you shed, right, to make room for what really, really matters in the limited amount of time that you're going to have in a feature versus a book? So I think, in the same way that there is so much that goes into the art of writing a novel, for example, or writing a screenplay, an original screenplay, the art of adaptation is also really specific. And it's been a really exhilarating process, and Anne has been absolutely killing it. Yeah.
I will say that when I first read the novel and I was imagining it being written to a screenplay, I'm like, my goodness, some of the stuff is so hard when she's there at the computer and it's all pages and pages of all of her thoughts. So it's an internal monologue. Like, how is a screenwriter going to get this up? Because the screenplay is visual. It's visuals, actions, and dialogue. And so how do you do that internal stuff? But I tell you what, Anne has done a phenomenal job on this draft. And as producers, we are all very, very happy right now. And as investors, you guys should be happy too, because it is another major step forward.
It's going to make it an amazing motion picture. And now, when you read this draft of the script, it's just so visual, and you can see it from a motion picture standpoint. It's cinematic, as they say.
Very cinematic. There was moments I teared up, not just because it was an emotional moment, because it was just written so well. I was just so excited at how well it was written. So along those lines, so that's fantastic that the calculated script is that far along. And we've said this for other updates. We'll say it again, that there was this huge period of a delay back when we got Calculated funded, trying to find a writer. It took us a long time to find Anne. It took us 8 months to find Anne. And thanks to Tay Centineo here, just a couple of phone calls. And Peacock was on board. So Anne Peacock has expressed interest in writing the subsequent films, which means that we are much farther along now, even though we haven't raised a ton of money yet on the sequels. We're much farther along on sequels than we were on Calculated, even after we had raised the majority of the development funds. So having said that, The sequels raise is open now. In case you didn't catch that last time, Reg A from the SEC has been approved. And if you go to our website, we have a new, very easy to find website, wego.one, WEGO.1. And you will end up at the sequels, the page there that has the sequels and other projects, and you can invest in the sequels now. And people have been investing actually kind of large amounts in it. It's not like on WeFunder, it's like minimum of $100. People aren't doing that. People are going 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 in it. So, sorry, John, you were off for a second. What'd you say?
10,000. I was
10,000.
just keeping the numbers going.
Yeah, no, the average investment is much higher there. So get over to wego.one and or OneDoorStudios.com, either one, and get your spot in the sequels, Ray, so we can get Anne started writing on the next script, moving forward quickly. Jay, welcome today. He's been silent. Jay could have put us a still image of himself up there today.
Yeah, right.
How's everything going in your world? Because getting the Reg A approved was a lot of your work, Jay. So,
Or all.
Yeah,
Thomas were carrying the load.
Thank you, guys.
So thanks for taking that across the finish line, Jay. Any final words on that front?
Yeah, I can just say, because if you've been along for the journey, our investors, you know that we were qualified back in September.
Yep.
And then we had to requalify, and that's where all the months of pain and agony and hair pulling kicked in. But thankfully, I can say this. I can say that our attorneys are literally the best in the world. And so I have absolute confidence that this version of this securities document that we have now is airtight and absolutely solid, and very, very confident giving this to all of our investors.
Yeah.
And the technology that's driving it all is really, really trick. It's
really
so sophisticated and operates so simply.
Yeah, you can invest with the credit card. You can invest with Apple Pay, Google Pay, or ACH if you really want to give all your bank information. But there's just so many ways to invest now, where the old platform was only ACH with a super clunky identification process that made you take a picture of yourself and your driver's. Like, who would go through it? Nobody would go through it. So this new process is way simpler. And at the same time that we got our Reg A approved, roughly in the same exact week, the CF for MyStream, which means the regulation crowdfunding, was approved for MyStream. For the longest time, it was only in testing the waters phase, but now it's actually in receiving investments on WeFunder. So WeFunder.com/MyStream, MYSTREME. The link of that's below. So John, you're the master of MyStream. So what's our updates on that?
It's the race is going really strong, but for both of them, this is the first time in our history where we've had two projects that are out and running at the same time, have an offering open at the same time. So Stephen, who is the master of everything, dealing with our promotion and our ad creation and all of those things, is driving this, and there are multiple new ads that are coming on for both of those, which are really slick, really cool.
Yeah.
So over the next couple of weeks, we'll see those new ones going up, and they're representing the new things that are happening at MyStream, which I wish I could mention some of them now, but we will be able to hopefully next week. Some new major progress going forward as far as I can't even say that.
Yeah.
As far as our movement forward, anyway,
Yeah.
Getting us out on the street. But each move, each day, multiple times, often per day. And since we had reported last, we met live in Sacramento, the whole team, and
big strategy session for a couple days.
Yeah,
and realize kind of what wouldn't work and what could potentially work. So.
Yeah, it's awesome, and some of these things will be well represented in the new videos.
Yeah,
and we'll demonstrate them. We'll share them during our updates.
So Tay, any final words from you today? Because it's always a pleasure to have you on here, as opposed to those three ugly guys.
By comparison.
No, I mean, not much. I mean, where we're at now, we're continuing obviously to find ways to elevate this. working through any notes that we might have on the producer's side, tweaks and adjustments. And obviously we will know more about that once we've moved through that process entirely. But all positives, all really exciting and fulfilling things headed our way. Just good.
All right. So to wrap it up, if you want to help get the finances going to get Ann Peacock on the script for the next one, go to wego.one and get your spot in Calculated Sequels. That Regulation A investment is open. And if you want to get your spot in MyStream as an early investor, go to wefunder.com/MyStream. And Tay, thanks so much for joining us today. And it was awesome to have you with us again.
So
hey, we get to see you again every Tuesday and Thursday anyway. So, we're the lucky ones. So,
Oh.
all right. Have a great day, everybody. And we'll see you soon again.
Jen.
Oh.